What is up, people? I'm the Godless engineer, and I have a ferret growing out of my ass. But tonight, what we're talking about is several things. The stand up is where we answer a few questions, and those questions are what have we accomplished? What are we working on? And what is holding us back? So let's go ahead and dive on into the first one, and that is what have we accomplished? Well, as you can tell, I have this guy up there. I know you probably don't know who he is, and I'm about to feed you. This guy is the Republican guy that pretty much supported the anti-LGBT bathroom bill in Tennessee. And luckily enough, though, he's actually been exiled from the state capital. You'll never guess why. He poses a threat to women. If that's not, if I dare say, irony, the irony of this is just palpable because he's been thrown out. This, yeah, it says right here in the story, Durham is also accused of using his position to inappropriately pressure and harass female staffers in the building. The warning he received stated that, with a few exceptions, the women who related incidents felt that they could not report Representative Durham's behavior because nothing could be done, and they did not want to lose their jobs or be considered untrustworthy by employers, clients, or legislators. Women avoid or refuse to be alone with Representative Durham, a situation which has affected their ability to perform their jobs. Seriously though, this is just hilarious to me because this is a guy who's pushing a bill that says that you can't trust transgendered people in these bathrooms, or you can't trust these laws because then pedophiles will take advantage of them. While at the same time, this motherfucker is taking advantage of his seat of power and harassing women. I mean, to think that this guy thinks that he has the audacity to say that, oh yeah, pedophiles are going to use this. Even though pedophiles, sexual offenders, they have not been shown in the other states that have passed pro transgender bathroom bills, like way in the past. This is not a new issue. Other states have already passed laws that have taken care of this, and you can go out there and you can do the research, and in all 12 states, experts are asked, like, do you see pedophiles taking advantage of your new laws? And it's like, no, we don't see this pattern occurring at all in our state. And so, like, with total disregard for any of that, he's fear mongering people, trying to get this bathroom bill passed or whatnot. All the while, he's taking advantage of his staffers because he has a position of power. Now, I don't know if you guys have noticed, the situation with these sexual offenders, but with these sexual offenders, with pedophiles and all that, it's a large part of it is the power aspect, like having power over another individual, whether that be sexual or otherwise. And so that's why they seek out these positions of power. Now, I'm not saying that he's some kind of, sexual that he should be like brought up on charges or anything like that. Apparently, he's done some things that human resources have scratched their head at and being like he shouldn't be here. So I'm just pointing out how positions of power are sought out by sexual predators because it gives them the position to do what they do, which is sexually harass, molest, rape people, and they're given ample opportunity to do it. They're given ample freedom to do it, and the most crucial aspect of it is nobody is going to talk up against them. Nobody's going to speak out. Like, nobody's going to speak out against the priest. Nobody's going to speak out against apparently this jackass that's smiling. I mean, if I've ever seen a shit-eating grin, this motherfucker has it. Which is an actual sexual fetish thing. Let's not get into that though. But This guy is pretty much he's like the father figure that everybody holds so highly, right, and doesn't think could do anything wrong, but then behind your back, he's fucking your kid. I'm not saying that he is that he's a pedophile or anything. I'm just using that as an example. Um, Now, in my own professional career, I've actually encountered assholes like this. One of my bosses, he inappropriately interacted with females around the office, and he was brought to human resources because women started speaking up against him. And so my point in all this is that these types of people, the people that want to take advantage of women, to take advantage of other people, seek out positions of power. I don't know about you, but I don't see the power aspect of dressing up in women's clothing and going into the bathroom and being like, hey guys, I'm a man's, but I'm pretending to be a woman's today so I can get a Pikachu. I don't see the power part of that. So, that's kind of curious there. Um, I would like to take a second and say hi to everybody in the audience here. We have Caitlin, who is the default. We've got Lou and Kronos, and we had a Cajun guy up there that mentioned that I do realize that that I'm doing this right in the middle of the drunken peasants. I don't give a fuck. You want to go and talk to the drunken go fucking watch the drunken peasants. I don't care. I'm talking about shit eating Grin Man. Anyways, so that is our first story. Our second story tonight is about how atheists, whenever Americans or Christians in general, whenever they think about atheists, generally they think about death. Okay, and this is very uncomfortable for them because it brings up the whole idea of, well, what happens after we die? So they don't like thinking about that, which is completely understandable because there's no proof to say that a heaven exists or a hell exists. You're purely going off of blind faith on that. Not only that, but they totally misunderstand what they think about with their heaven or whatnot. They think that there's going to be all shits and giggles up there. Like when they get to the pearly gates, God's going to bro fist them and he's going to throw a beer their way and they're going to pimp walk in, and then it's just going to be peaches and cream, or however you want to put that. And so, let's see. Dan Arl is reporting off of Live Science here that these death thoughts help trigger a subconscious dislike of atheists, said study leader Corey Cook, a social psychologist at the University of Washington, Tacoma. Not only do thoughts of death put people in a negative frame of mind, Cook told Live Science, but they also prompt people to hold more tightly onto their own values, which is completely understandable. I understand, this being a very uncomfortable thing to think about. Me myself, at one point in my career, my professional career, I had to go across seas to Abu Dhabi. And, I really had to take stock of what it meant to be in harm's way because I was not exactly like, okay, if you guys don't know where Abu Dhabi is, it's in UAE, and UAE is right above Saudi Arabia. This was right after Saudi Arabia declared atheists to be terrorists. Here I am, motherfucker, on a plane coming into the country, flying over Saudi Arabia, and I have a big atheist tattoo on my back that pretty much brands me as a particular kind of terrorist in that country. So I really had to think about that when I was going over, I wasn't quite worried about my life because I wasn't gonna go all the hills have eyes and wandering around and shit out there. I strictly stayed to my hotel, went to work, and then came back to the hotel. Friends that I went with were like, "Oh no, man, let's go out and do this camel ride." It's like, fuck you, is pretty much my reaction to that. Not only am I diabetic and being out in the hot sun, sweating all day is going to drive my sugar down, but also I don't want to get fucking rung up as a terrorist just because we accidentally crossed over into Saudi Arabia. But anyway, anyways, um, crap. Hold on. Let me get, let me get back. This brings up another aspect of this though, and that's prejudice against atheists throughout time. There's always been a prevalent anti-atheist sentiment that's been in the world. And, a lot of Christians that like to act like they're persecuted. If you turn on the news today, you see Christians acting like they're persecuted all the goddamn time. Every single time you turn on the TV, there's something going on that they're being persecuted for. Either Target's letting transgender people use the bathroom where in whatever bathroom that they identify as, that apparently is persecuting them. If you wink at them in the wrong way, that suggests that you don't believe in God, that could be persecuting them. Uh, Trust me, it's happened, I'm sure. But there's been a lot of interesting things that have happened, like in history, that really highlight how atheists have been. That there's this prejudice against atheists, and actually has been very pro religion in general, not just Christian, but religion in general. Now, a lot of Christians like to spout off Hitler as an atheist, being like, "Well, Hitler was an atheist," and so you've got to explain that for yourself, there, atheist. Yeah, come back from that. Drops mic, but you can't really drop the mic on that particular thing because, Hitler, he actually said that, secular schools shouldn't be a thing. Like, he was actively against any kind of atheist movement. At one point, he gave a speech where he talked about crushing the godless movement or the atheist movement. So Hitler, not only did he make a pact with the Catholic Church during World War II, not only did he do that, but he also, pretty much fought against this whole idea that there wasn't a God. And so anytime you hear anybody saying that, Hitler was an atheist, it's really just kind of a more complex form of a no true Scotsman fallacy, which I know that you guys know all that already. With the whole Hitler argument. And it's a pretty weak argument in general. But to go back, let's see, John Locke, he's the founder of modern notions of religious liberty and all this other stuff. He actually argued that atheists shouldn't be granted full citizenship, that, you had to be religious in order to do that. And then that carries on throughout time until the more modern area where there was this one British like parliamentary politician in Britain, and his name was Charles Bradlaugh, Brad Bradlow. I think it's Bradlow. Yeah, sorry, I'm fucking up names here. He was elected to a member of the British Parliament, but he had to get re-elected three times. He had to get re-elected three times because they wouldn't let him swear into office. Like they just wouldn't let him because they said that he couldn't be trusted. They said that he couldn't really swear on anything because he was an atheist and he didn't believe in God. Well, after the third time, they were finally like, "Fuck, finally, just okay, fine, just swear the fucker in, and we'll go about our business." So there was that. Another woman named Percy by Shelley was expelled, or sorry, it's not a woman, it's a guy. He was expelled from the University of Oxford, and he had his children taken away because he was an atheist. Of course, these all happened in the 1800s, the 19th century. So, I mean, that's just to highlight like how far back it goes that atheists have been actually persecuted, or I don't like to use the word persecute. when it refers to all this other stuff. I mean, it might apply, but I don't like to use it just because of how the religious use it now. But there was a prejudice against atheists leading up to today, and there's even still now a prejudice against us. I mean, there's laws on the books that say you have to take an oath of faith, in order to be in office. Like, you have to be some kind of religious person in order to be in a public office in America. They're not laws that can be actually executed. They're illegal, but they're still on the books because they don't care about repealing those kind of laws. They don't care about taking those off the books because they don't care about atheists. They really don't. Most politicians, they don't care about atheists. They don't care about the atheists, even though we're growing. Like the nuns category, which would include people that are still religious but are out of organized religion and they don't classify themselves as any kind of religion. I mean, I'm sure that you've heard of these people going around being like, "Well, I'm not religious, but I love Jesus. Oh, Jesus." And it sounds like they're having an orgasm while they're thinking about Jesus hanging up there on the cross, all bloody and being crucified and killed. It's sick and sadistic, if you ask me. Like, I don't act that way when I think about Jesus dying and bleeding all over me and washing me with his blood and some kind of sin thing. I don't know what the fuck sin is. But anyways, hey, just to take a second, I'd like to say hey to David and Mazzy Rakers, the Spider Pig, and Ant in B. I'm glad you guys are here making it tonight. There's another aspect to this, a more current present day aspect to atheists, evoking this thought of death. The aspect is that it here in America, we've actually, like atheists, the secular community or whatnot, we're known to be less trusted than rapists. I mean, there was actually a sort of questionnaire study or something like that went around that said that we were less trusted than a fucking rapist. It's like, hey, okay, look, my daughter, she's in high school and she's the valedictorian, she's a beauty queen and everything. Sir rapist, I want you to watch my daughter. Fuck you, atheist. I can't trust you with my beauty queen daughter person. I mean, that's basically what that study said. And so I find it I find it funny, is what I do. I mean, maybe it's not right to find humor in these kind of things, because I mean, they're basically saying that they would trust a rapist more than they would trust me. I mean, if that was coming from anybody that I really knew, yeah, sure, it would stab me in the fucking heart like a vampire. But I think that it's really kind of funny how their community is rampant with people that they can't trust. Like, they shouldn't trust. Like, their community is rampant with rapists, pedophiles, people that abuse power, corrupt people, corrupt politicians that are oh so fucking religious that you got to vote me into office, kind of thing. And these are people that you patternly shouldn't trust. Like, you shouldn't trust these, but yet they do. And they're saying that I'm not trustworthy. I seriously want to fall on the ground and piss my pants laughing. Like, that would be the one time that I would think that, oh, it's okay for me to piss my pants because this is so stupid that is the only way to dumb down the situation further, kind of deal. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on people not trusting atheists, people, having these thoughts of death whenever they are confronted with atheism. That oh so horrible word, atheism. Um, I want to know what you think about them thinking about death, contemplating it, and it causing a lot of negative emotion about it. Let me know in the comments, and I would love to hear them. Now, to go on to our final thing, it's something that's going to hit kind of close to home for me. Okay. Alabama is putting inserts into their textbooks that warn kids about Evolution. Like, never mind warning kids about their priest at church that might fuck them in the ass when they're not looking. No. You got to worry about evolution, okay? We got to put this shit in textbooks because this is detrimental to the education of our children. Now, this particular one that's up right now is from Cobb County, Georgia, from back in 2002. And I wanted to start with this to just kind of show the evolution of it, because these inserts have been happening for a good 21 years or so. Like, that's how long the fight's been going on for, about these fucking inserts. But let's see what this first one has to say, and let's see how Alabama has evolved it into the word salad piece of shit that it is. Let's see. This textbook contains material on evolution. Evolution is a theory, not a fact. It's a theory, not a fact. Goddamn stupid Southern Hicks. Regarding the origin of living things, this material should be approached with an open mind, studied carefully, and critically considered. Approved by Cobb County Board of Education, Thursday, March 28, 2002. Now, this particular insert was actually struck down by a higher court, or a court in Georgia, saying that it's basically promoting one religion over another, like a religious worldview is what they're promoting. And yeah, I see David in the comments there is saying theory is not hypothesis. Theory is basically on par with law and science. Yeah, it's just below law. I know that laws are stronger than theories, but I mean, a scientific theory is pretty solid. I mean, they're still allowed for change, and that's kind of what differentiates them, as far as I know. If that's wrong, let me know in the comments. But this particular one, that's how these things started out, okay? And then here is Alabama's. Now, I'm going to enlarge this, kind of completely on the screen. It's probably going to cover my ass up. I'm sure you're not all that, I'm sure you don't mind. Biology textbook insert, a message from the Alabama State Board of Education. The word theory has many meanings. Theories are defined as systematically organized knowledge, abstract reasoning, and speculative idea or plan. Bloogity bloggity bloog. Let's see. The theory of, skipping down to the third paragraph, if you happen to be reading along, children. The theory of evolution by natural selection is a controversial theory that is included in this textbook. It is controversial because it states that natural selection provides the basis for the modern scientific explanation for the diversity of living things. Since natural selection has been observed to play a role in influencing small changes in population, it is assumed that it produces large changes even though this has not been directly observed. Because of its importance and implications, students should understand that the nature of evolutionary theories. They should learn to make distinctions between the multiple meanings of evolution, to distinguish between observations and assumptions used to draw conclusions, and to wrestle with the unanswered questions and unresolved problems still faced by evolutionary theory. So let's tackle that particular paragraph right off the bat here, shall we? I know it's going to be a little small for you guys, but okay. So I've enlarged it so that I can actually read it. Maybe you guys can enlarge the, go big screen with my ass and read it. But okay, so the theory of evolution by natural selection is a controversial theory. It is actually not. It is not a controversial theory. It's only controversial to those that don't actually fucking understand it. If you don't understand evolutionary theory, then that means that you need to go back to school. I mean, there's a lot of fucking shit that we can show you. I mean, if you haven't seen the Bill Nye versus Ken Ham debate, he spanked him like a little baby. Not little baby, a baby that deserve spanking like back, I don't know, in the 1950s when people didn't give a fuck about emotional abuse and the causes of modern psychological shit that was caused by the whole fucking spanking thing. Whether you disagree with me on that is for another video. Anyways, it is controversial because it states natural selection provides the basis for the modern scientific explanation for the diversity of living things. Okay. Yeah, it does state that, but that's not why it's controversial. Here, let me help. It's controversial because religious people think that God went abracadabra and then poofed everything into existence, and then like grabbed up some dirt, formed man, not people, sorry, man, and then all of a sudden he was formed, and then he grabbed a rib out of him, and then he made a woman, and then the woman made a sandwich. And that's pretty much how creationists think shit works. Let's see. Since natural selection has been observed to play a role in influencing small changes in a population, it is assumed that it produces large changes. No, it's not assumed. It's not assumed that it produces large changes. It's proven that it produces large changes. We have multiple fossil records that show, the progression of species and how they actually change. And so yeah, there's that. So far there's like 3 inaccuracies. Let me get this on the screen. There's 3 inaccuracies so far in this one fucking paragraph. Because of this, it says it hasn't been directly observed, but it has. I guess the big changes haven't been observed like as they happen. Like they seriously think that there's some kind of box that we have, and that in that box we can manipulate time and space. And because they think that we have this box, apparently we need to put like a rock in there, as Kent Hovind would say. We need to put a rock in there, and we need to like turn up the speed of time to millions and millions of years, and watch that rock grow legs out of nothing and walk around, and then all of a sudden it's a baby boy. Aunt NB says, I forbid my future family from going to Alabama or the South in general. Thank you so much. But anyways, let's see. They should learn to make distinctions between multiple meanings of evolution. There's actually not multiple meanings of evolution. There's one meaning of evolution, and that's change that's observed over time. That's the basic thing. You have biological evolution, which talks about the evolution of biological entities. Evolution by natural selection. Natural selection is the mechanism in which evolution occurs. So, I can see how Christians would be very confused by this subject, because when you got such a narrow and myopic mindset as to think that, the earth is 6,000 years old and God quite literally made the earth in 6 days. However, the sun wasn't made until the 3rd day. So how could fucking days have passed? Did daylight savings time come into the factor at all with that? Or was it during a time of year when that just didn't matter? We didn't have daylight savings time until, Ben Franklin. And so it's kind of odd there. How do you know, how did the sun rise and set on the first day when there was no fucking sun to rise and fucking set? Seriously, I really don't understand that point. I don't understand how they can seriously believe that. How they can say, oh yeah, God made it, blah, 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 and then the sun on the 3rd day. It's like, holy fuck! There's a magical sun out there that disappeared once God made our real sun. I forgot where we were. Doesn't matter. Anyways, so I'm really running over time here, and I just want to say that Alabama, you're dumb as fuck. I live here, and I live in one of the smartest cities because I mean we have the most engineers per capita here in Huntsville, and I just find it I find it amazing that even in Huntsville, who has the most engineers everywhere than anywhere in Alabama, I still have coworkers that sit over there and tell me how climate change is the temperature gauge changing as they look at it outside and the morning continues. Like I still have engineers that talk about the end times, the end days, and all of that kind of shit, and it's really just sad, and I hate the fact that I live in a place that has engineers engineers foregoing their engineering part of their brains, like the part of their brain that allows them to do amazing fucking things is completely turned off as soon as you say God. So anyways, I'll see you guys later. Y'all have a nice night. As I always say, go down below. I have all of these news stories linked up at the bottom. And I don't want you to have my opinion. I don't want you to just listen to me and have my opinion. I want you to go down there, look at the information, decide for yourselves, come to your own conclusions. I'll see you guys later. I'm going to pop off here and go and play some Borderlands 2. I'm playing the warrior. Like, I'm trying to defeat the warrior, so I'm going to get my ass kicked a lot. I have a death counter set up to where I can keep track of how many times I fucking die tonight. So just look up Godless Engineer Plays. I'm going to put a link in the description if you want to come and watch me. I'll see you guys later. Y'all have a nice night. Have a nice Monday. Have a nice rest of the week until Wednesday when we do this again. Join us at 9:30 p.m. on Wednesday. We will be here to talk about more news. Probably some more shit-eating grins, too. I'll see you guys later.